So, thank you for coming back. First of all, for people watching, this is our first episode in 2025, which is ridiculous because it is June. But we have very special guest Erin Peacock here today from, I want to say North Carolina. Is that where? Okay, North
That's
Carolina.
right.
Um, and we're going to learn much more about her with our 6 questions that we always go through. But I wanted to shout out and say there will be more of these. So if you're just watching this one for the first time, there are some that are still worth watching to go back to, and there will be new ones. And if you're like, I would like to be interviewed, please reach out to me. Rug hookers, punch needle artists, textile artists from all walks of life are welcome. We like to hear from everybody. So thank you, Erin, for reaching out and getting in touch and talking about um, rug hooking and punch needle today. You do both, right?
Such a pleasure. Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be chatting everything rug cooking.
Yeah. I love
So
that.
happy.
Yeah, I love that when we started just connecting on Zoom, you said like I absorb all things rug hooking, and that's exactly how I feel. Like I feel like I
Yes.
cannot get enough, like an appetite that and I'm always curious for more because every time I go looking for something more, I find it. So it's like this never
hmm
ending. Anyway, so yes, thank you for
I
being.
completely understand. I'm the same.
Yeah, is that cool? Um, we'll jump right into the questions and take it from there.
Okay,
Who or what, like, how did you get started? Can you share a little bit about the beginnings of Erin the rug hooker or
sure.
punch needle?
Um, yeah, it's a bit of a story. My journey because I do both. So it was probably January or February in 2020. I was on YouTube binging craft videos because I'm always looking for different things. I'm always curious about different modalities and art mediums and things. So I came across a video of someone using a tool that I had never seen before, but it was one of those things where I immediately said, this is for me. I have to get that. I have to do that. I don't know what it was about it or why, but it was a punch needle. It was an Oxford punch needle. And I was just enamored. I couldn't get it. So I started to research more. I couldn't get enough of it. And I was so curious to know more about the craft. And I knew that I had to get my hands on it somehow. And at the time, I was living abroad. So it was challenging to get
Mm.
supplies in an
Yeah.
easy way. So it was November of that year before I ordered a full set of the punch needle from the Oxford company. And I just got punching and I couldn't stop. and then well, during that time, I did a lot of research as well. And I'm originally from Southwestern Vermont, and I had no idea that Amy Oxford had spent time there
Mhm.
and lived there, and also the history of the McAdoos. We don't grow up learning about these things in school, and I had no idea that there was a history of rug cooking in my small town area. And so that was really neat for me to discover. Um, and so my journey of punch needle kept going, and then I took the Oxford certification to be a certified punch needle instructor. And in that time, we were also introduced to rug hooking.
Mhm.
Um, but for me, it felt too perfect. It felt too rigid. I don't know. There was something I just did not connect to it at all. It just, the loops had to be in line and they had to be the same height. And I just didn't feel a lot of creative freedom with that. So I put the hook away and I never looked
Big
at
punch
it.
needle.
Yeah. Um, and I kept on my punch needle. I kept creating a lot of things. Then I did a mindful crafters course, the certified mindful crafts teacher, and again was introduced to the rug hook. And I tried it, and I didn't like it. and I sort of put it out of sight, out of mind. And then I was going down the rabbit hole of rug hooking videos on YouTube and discovered Deanne Fitzpatrick. And that's when everything shifted for me.
Mm.
She unknowingly has been a huge mentor for me. I admire her art so much. And um, I just, the way that she uses the yarn and the freedom in that, the painterly kind of style, it spoke to me a lot. And so then I got on my rug hooking journey and I couldn't
You
wait to
found your
pick
hook
up the
again.
rug hook. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I felt so inspired. And so that's how I got rug hooking. Um, and then I just really like the composition style of combining both the punch needle with the rug hooking. Yeah.
Which is so interesting to me. I was the opposite. Like I started with rug hooking and then found punch needle. Um, but my first teacher in rug hooking was not a super strict, and she told me about Deanne Fitzpatrick right away, so I was able to find that. And then other people that I have introduced the punch needle to, their comment, or some of them, is that it is too rigid. So it's so
Yeah.
interesting. Like it really is such a personal, connection or lack of connection to that material, like that tool and that material. Like it really depends on each person how they are going to feel about it. It's not the tool. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
it's,
so true.
yeah, wow. And so I'm curious though, because this was, I mean, all in the last 5 years, really,
Hmm.
were you a knitter or a like crochet? Were you into textiles before this?
I have always been an artist my whole life. I was born an artist. I have done a lot of different
Different things.
types of crafts, and I studied art at university. But it was mostly 2D, or I did sculpture and clay work as well. And I really, I enjoy the tactile nature of art making. And I realized this as an adult that I can draw and I enjoy drawing, but there's something that I always felt was kind of missing from 2D art that I really needed to kind of mold and meld things more with my hands.
Hmm.
And so yeah, so then I just started on this sort of fiber art journey with the punch needle, and and now it's stuck, and here I am, and I can't imagine doing anything different.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Um, do you have a favorite, um, oh my goodness, I can't even read my own handwriting. How bad is that? And it's been so long. I used to know these questions by heart. Which part is your favorite? Like, do you have some people it's the planning, it's the collecting, it's the shopping for some people. Like, do you have a favorite part that you go like this is the juiciest that you could share with us?
It's the making of it. Yeah, the pulling the loops, the creating of the loops. I think because it 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 puts me into a zen kind of
Mm,
state of being, and the making is sort of where it's at for me. I enjoy all of it,
yeah.
100%, but I would say the making of it is even maybe just a
Hmm.
little bit more. That's really the sweet spot for me.
Right. And I'm
Yeah.
curious then, are you a planner? Like, do you know exactly what you're making? So once you start pulling or punching, do you know exactly where you're going? Or are you changing your mind as you go?
Yeah, I change a lot of
Okay.
things. I generally have, sometimes I'll sketch out a very rough kind of a sketch on the backing fabric of what it will be, and basically never comes out like that.
Right. That's how I feel.
um, and then the colors will change based on, the color combination that I use or what I want to put where. So yeah, it's always shifting and always changing as I work on it. And I think that's the I really enjoy that because it's very flowing, and you never really know what it's going to turn out to be. I'll have an idea of maybe a shape or some sort of a loose composition or something. And so I have a starting point, but it's an ever evolving
Evolves.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there Something that you wish you'd learned like sooner? I mean, it's all seems pretty recent in a way, but
Yeah.
or maybe something you wish you'd learned sooner, or something that you teach, because I know you're a teacher as well, that you really
Mhm.
feel is important for new hookers and punchers to know about or to understand.
Yes, this is also something that I've heard on other interviews that you've done is it's such a versatile craft. And
Mhm.
you can use so many different types of tools and materials because the way that I learned the hooking was so sort of,
Mhm.
it felt very formal and kind of rigid of only using a hook and the wool strip was like the only way to do it. And it is, the possibilities are endless. And I think no matter where you are in the world, because it's beautiful that we have such a global connection nowadays. And I think even for people who are in the most remote places of the world who have natural fibers or natural plant materials or things available to them, you can use that to
Mhm.
make a really beautiful decorative piece for your home. And I think the possibilities are so limitless. So just kind of experiment with whatever comes to mind and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a very good thing. I hope that I do that as well with new students to remind them that, because like even if thinking of your rug hooker teacher, whoever that was, they may have loved that kind of hooking, like that organized loops and the wool strips and everything. I mean, I'm not one of them, but there are people out there that love that.
Yes, for
Um,
sure. Yeah.
but to remind students to always be like, I love this, but you may love taking it in a totally different direction, and
Right.
that's great. Like to celebrate.
Yeah. You
So yeah,
can really be expressive to whatever speaks to you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's really important. Um, So, do you have a favorite tool or material or frame or something that you're like, I do not want to be without whatever it is? Or curious.
It's definitely my Shetty Camp frame.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, tell me more.
I I actually have my computer on my Shetty Camp frame right now.
Multi-purpose.
Yes, that's so one reason why I really enjoy it so much is because it acts as a table, and it definitely is multifunctional. Um, I think what I was really struggling with is the posture of sitting on sort of a lap frame or a frame that didn't have a lot of structure or a hoop or something. Sometimes I feel like I'm bent over or it starts to bother my shoulders and my back. And the Shetty Camp is nice that you can just pull it right up and sit up straight and hook. Um, it's also nice because you can work on a very large piece. And then you can also have a very large piece of backing and do multiple small pieces on the same roll.
Hmm.
And it's nice to just kind of roll it as you go. Yeah. And that you don't have to be holding it in your lap or on the chair beside you or having the sort of the weight of it drag down a little bit. It's just, I don't want to be without my Shetty Camp frame.
That is so fascinating to me because my friends know a couple years ago, I was so excited to get one. Like I bought one off of somebody else and
Mhm.
I don't like it. It's
See,
right behind me now, and I'm
it's
like,
not
maybe
for everybody.
it's not for well, I'm quite tall, and I feel I have to bend over, like I end up more hunched.
Oh,
And so I haven't played like people have given me suggestions of like raising it up. Like I think that's what I would need to do.
yeah.
But I really like leaning back in my chair when I'm hooking or punching. And I feel like that I end up leaning forward and it's a different, I don't know.
Mm.
So, I mean, I know people that love it and I was wanting to love it. I expected to love it. Um, and I still have the same piece on it, the same rug that I started like 3 years ago. And I'm like, okay, I really want to finish that rug. And I'm determined to do it on the Steadicam. So maybe I got to get out some like risers and make it
Yeah.
taller, but
That
interesting. And do you
would
find that,
probably be helpful.
yeah, I think so. Um, do you find that it gets tight enough for punching? Like you use it the same frame for punching and for hooking?
Mhm. I do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's great. I don't have any problems with it.
Wow. And I'm curious then, do you punch into linen as well?
No, I use burlap.
Oh, you use burlap to punch.
Yeah,
Oh,
I use burlap for everything. I think also another thing, going back to your other question about something that I learned or would advice that I would give is, as we know, rug hoovers, this craft can be very expensive very quickly. And
yes.
however, I got started on a very tight budget and have found materials and tools and things that I continue to use because they work great, but
Yep.
also because I just sort of I need to keep budget wise.
Yep.
And burlap is so accessible, not only just price wise, but I find that burlap is very accessible locally to me where I am. And I can go to a fabric warehouse in town and buy it off bolt, which is great. Um, and I don't have that with rug linen.
Yep.
So and rug
That
linen,
is fascinating to me too, because I mean, I know we live far apart. I'm in Ottawa, Ontario, and you're in North Carolina. So for people that, have to place that,
yeah.
that is far. However, that is not like I can't go into a fabric store here and get good burlap. There is like
Uh,
the burlap that people would use to wrap like trees outside. We use that in the winter here. Some people do to protect their trees from snow and ice, but it's not the quality of burlap that you would want to hook with. Like it would have irregular weave and holes and knots and sort of very dusty. And
mm,
so that is just
well,
fascinating.
the burlap that I buy, it for sure gets hairy.
Yeah.
The little bits of hair fly around everywhere, and but it's a pretty even weave, and it does come from a fabric supply. It's sort of
Mhm.
it's a interior designer fabric
Yep.
supply shop, so it probably is a bit of a better quality than what you might be
Yeah.
speaking to. But I know a lot of people don't like using burlap because of the sort of the bits that fly
Mhm.
around and they get sneezy and whatnot from that. But
Yeah.
I mean, I also have tried Ruglan, which really would be it's sort of creme de la creme in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah.
It's so buttery when you hook and punch into the linen. It's beautiful, but just accessibility wise for me right now, burlap is what I use.
Working. Wow. And I
Yeah, it
guess
works
I've never
great.
even, I mean, I don't use it regularly because of accessibility and but I was worried about, and maybe this is one of those things, you make things up in your head and you believe them. But
Yeah,
punching burlap would make the fibers break apart. That was what I made up in my head. So like now you've proven that to be not necessarily the case. So that's really good to know.
yeah.
You can punch.
I have used the different sizes of the punch needle, and yes, there might be a, a few strands that you break into, but
Mhm.
um it's pretty hard to break the full strand. And I
Yeah.
find that even if on the rare occasion that may happen, because of the tension, it holds it all together anyway. And
Yeah.
I mean, traditionally, rugs, functional rugs of floor were made with burlap,
Oh, for
so
sure.
it can be used for functional pieces. But I create art for the wall. So
Yeah. Yeah. You're
to
not
each
worried
his
about the
own, I
wear
guess.
and
Yeah,
tear of
I'm
the
not really
plates.
worried
Yeah.
about
Yeah. No,
that.
and I agree. And I was recently in Newfoundland where I saw some beautiful old rugs that were getting repaired and they were probably, I mean, I'm just guessing, but 40, 50 years old and had been on the floor probably for the whole time. And yes, they were being repaired, so they were slightly damaged, but they were on burlap and they had been used for 40 or 50 years. So,
Yeah.
like they had done their time and still usable, just needing a little patchwork, which after 40 years of use, they deserve.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I am not against burlap. I just, but yeah, that is, oh, that's so interesting. Um, can you describe like what you've done this a little bit, but what rug hooking does for you? Like, why do you keep coming back to it, and what is so unique about it? Since you've also mentioned you've done lots of other crafts and art.
There are so many reasons. um, I I enjoy the I feel like it's a really perfect meld of slow stitching because it's, one loop at a time. It provides you with such a relaxing kind of meditative zen flow. But you can see results fairly quickly, whereas some other art forms it takes a lot longer, maybe with embroidery or things. It's like very slow stitching. So I think it's nice because it allows me to calm down and feel just so calm and at peace, and at the same time see the piece kind of come alive before my eyes.
Mm.
Right? I think there's something really beautiful about that. Art making in general for me is my haven. It's like restorative, it's peaceful, I can't not do it. It's like breathing, it's like I said, I was born an artist, so it just is so much a part of who I am. I just am always drawn to creating. Um, and another thing that I have realized with rug cooking is I really connect deeply with the tradition. It gives me a sense of rootedness, of place, of home. I feel like the craft feels like home for me. And that may not make sense for a lot of people, but sort of, when you connect with something that just feels that you just kind of know it. Um, I and I'm originally from Vermont, like I said, and I think I don't have a history of ancestors or people in my family who are rug hookers or even crafters. My dad is a very skilled carpenter, woodworker, and I definitely get my artistic abilities from him and the men in my lineage and my family. But I think the just coming from New England in
Mhm.
that region of where rug hooking is so traditional, there's something that sort of brings me to that place when I hook. And it gives me a sense of home and belonging. Um, and the connection that I feel with just imagining all the rug hookers throughout time when I pull the loops, there's just something so magical and beautiful. I think it's also such a privilege for the modern day rug hooker to be so expressive, to be so contemporary. I know that in the past, it was a craft of necessity, and women, well, majority of women were rug hookers, didn't
Mhm.
have the sort of the freedom to express. Maybe they were doing a lot of commission work for survival or just making what they needed to make for their homes. And nowadays we can be so expressive and so free with what we create. And I think it's just a beautiful kind of continuation to acknowledge where this craft has come from and how we hold it today and continue it on. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes me wonder. have you found a community of rug hookers? Like I'm obviously I expect you have community in your town, but is there other rug hookers, other punch needlers that like are near you? I don't know North Carolina very well, and I certainly don't know all the areas of where rug hookers and punch needle people gather. So I'm just curious, is that something you've been able to find in North Carolina?
Yeah, I connected I think it was in January with a small group, and then I just last week connected to a new group that's quite a bit bigger, and they've been established for many, many years. Um, and wow, it is just wonderful to be in the company of other rug hookers. I mean, it's so supportive, it's fun, there's lots of laughter, there's lots of sharing, everyone's welcoming. It's it's just wonderful. Yeah, so I feel really fortunate to have that community here, and also in the mountains. I know that there are a lot of rug hookers in Asheville area in the mountains of Western North Carolina. So
Okay.
looking forward to getting to know more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Time
It's
goes
well, and
on.
that's it. I mean, I ended up in Fogo Island, a place I never thought I'd find my way. And it's a very remote part of Canada. For people that don't know,
Yeah.
it is very remote. And yet here we are like 110 rug hookers that came from all over the place. Um,
Wow. Yeah.
so yeah, it's amazing community, definitely of fiber artists. And yeah, I always feel lucky to be part of it. Um, I'm
Definitely.
going to pull up your rug that you shared with me. And I always, just for people watching, I always ask people to send me one rug. So I know that is hard. And I always appreciate when
Yeah.
people put a rug behind them or have it on display. So we get a peek of one that's behind you right now, and one that is totally different. So I will pull that up and then we can, there we go. Can you see it okay, Erin?
Yes.
Perfect. So tell us about this beauty.
So this is about 2 feet by 3 feet. The sculpted piece, the wave in the middle, and the white and the green is created with punch needle, and then the bottom blue part is hooked.
Oh,
And this image came to me when I was laying on the outside last year. I more often than not just have images that come to me, and then I sort of create what I envisioned. And this is, I didn't necessarily have those light blue wavy marks in the vision, but this is exactly what I pictured in my mind.
oh
Aside
wow.
from that, so yeah, there's something about it that I it will definitely remain in my personal collection.
Yeah, it is fabulous. Um, can you tell us how you created the wave? Like I'm just really that's with punch needle.
Hmm.
And they are
Yeah,
not cut loops, right?
they're
Like they're
they're not
intact.
they're long loops. So I did the wave actually with a stencil. I created a paper stencil so that I could trace it out on the backing, and then I used a number 8 regular Oxford punch needle. And what I do is when I punch through the backing, I hold the tip so
Mm-hmm.
that the loop is double the size. Well, it's the size of the needle.
Yep.
And so that creates a lot of dimension. And then in the background, for the white and the green is a number 14, which is the smallest one. And that helps to create the very noticeable kind of depth
Mhm.
in the rug. Yeah.
It is fabulous. And what kind of materials do you like to like? Obviously, it's yarn, but can you tell? Well, the
Hmm.
top is yarn. Is the blue yarn as well? Or
Yeah. There are 3 different blues in that. There's Malabrigo yarn and then Bricks and Little.
beautiful.
Hmm.
Is the lime green breaks in little too?
That's Malabrigo. The
Is
white
that?
is Bricks and Little.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I love Malabrigo. That is,
Yeah. Oh, my dream is to have a whole room
mhm.
full of Malabrigo yarn.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and just from the photo, if that is burlap, that is beautiful burlap.
Oh yeah, I like to take pictures of my rugs on a burlap backing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, my burlap or what I've seen does not usually look that even or um, finely woven. It is beautiful. It is
Yeah.
beautiful. Now, you'd mentioned to me that you had that with you. Just, do you want to show it to us? Because I'm
Oh
thinking
yeah.
it would be so fun to see the texture in person as well.
Let's see if I can get it. It's a
I
bit
don't know if we'll,
large.
oh, wow. That is gorgeous. And is that hanging somewhere special in your home then?
Um, that's the sort of texture that or the dimension that I get with.
That is amazing because I have done that technique where I hold it, but I have not created, and I guess I haven't tried hard enough, but I've not created that nice sort of rounded shape. Like it looks like this like a perfectly curved. Like I do that with clipping, but not with just my loops.
Yeah.
So that is
It,
fabulous.
well, the reason is because there's a 14 next to it.
Yes.
Otherwise, it would be higher and sort of squished more together.
Okay. So it's not actually curved. It's all like pulled all to the same height. It just kind of
It
sits in a
naturally,
curved way.
exactly.
Okay. Okay. Sometimes
Yes.
it takes my brain a minute to catch up. But yeah, because I was picturing like, how did you pull them in like different heights to get them to curve? But it's just the way they kind of bloom out over the 14 that is perfect. Oh,
That
good to
took,
know. Well, thank you for
yes,
sharing
it was
that
a lot of
secret.
experimenting to understand that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm curious then, were you trying to figure that out, or was it one of those sort of happy accidents that you're like, oh, this is perfect, but, or you had a vision that this is what you wanted it to do and you had to figure out how to make it happen?
I was just, no, I was just kind of creating a lot of different types of pieces. And I realized it had a specific look using a specific technique.
Right.
And like one side had um, the lower pile height, and the other side of the sculpted kind of shape had a higher pile height. And like it's very noticeable the way that it sits. And I
Interesting.
like the aesthetic of this.
Yeah.
And so that's what I do in a lot of my rugs.
That is fascinating.
Mhm.
Um, now, I know you're obviously an Oxford certified teacher and you teach mindfulness as well. Do you want to tell us or tell people watching too a little bit about if they want to reach out to you or connect with you, how they can do that?
Yes. My website is meditatetoinspire.com. You can find me on Instagram and YouTube at Meditate to Inspire. I do 10-minute meditations every week. And then I am in the process of offering a couple of virtual, sort of live virtual classes in the next few months. Um, and then I also have a newsletter that goes out every Friday. And if you sign up to be on my newsletter, I've created a free PDF, uh, sort of a digital download that's getting started with rug hooking, the essential materials guide of kind of what I use for my rug hooking. I know it can be confusing for a lot of people to sort of know what to get and where to get it.
Hmm.
um, and so you just sign up for my newsletter and I'll send you that PDF. And then I've also created a beginner rug hooking mini course that's available. And there's a discount code in the guide as well for that course. And
And
I'm
can
going
you
to be
sign up for,
creating,
sorry,
yep,
sign up for your newsletter on your website, just to clarify?
yep, sign up
Yeah.
for a
Okay.
newsletter on my website. And I will be creating on-demand self-paced courses in a variety of different things that will be released on the first of each month. So you can look forward to those as well. Because I know some people like the on-demand self-paced and then some
Yeah.
people like to have the live classes. So I
Yeah.
like to do both.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Erin. I am so inspired. I feel like I have to get my Shetty Camp a second chance. And I might have to find some more burlap options because yours looks gorgeous.
Yeah,
And I know the price of linen is just going up. So it's not
it's a
accessible.
great alternative if you can get it, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, to get the nice stuff. Well, thank you so much. And for those watching, if you are interested in being interviewed, we'd love to hear from you. Send me a message and we can set up a time. Thank you, Erin. I
Thank
really
you,
appreciate
Robin.
seeing your beautiful work.